Hi guys, it's Hani here, and today I'm gonna be sharing with you step-by-step tutorial on how I decorated this dreamy pink gingerbread house for holidays. First, we're going to prepare decorations. I'm using royal icing of about 20-second consistency here, and I'm piping dots of icing onto the parchment. These are going to be pom-poms, and we're gonna use these to decorate the house. And I'm using pink, green, white, and also ivory. And then generously dust these with white sanding sugar and let them dry. Drying time will be about 5 hours or so. And then you can remove excess sugar, pouring it back into the container. You can remove these and you can store these for later until you're ready to add the details. Now, to make the wafer paper decorations, I'm just using white wafer paper sheet and a large snowflake punch to cut out these beautiful snowflakes. How pretty, huh? These are really easy to make. And to decorate, I'm using royal icing. You can find this recipe on the blog. Spread a thin layer of royal icing on a cookie, let it crust for about 15 minutes, and then take a scribe or a toothpick and run it through, scratching the surface, creating star shapes like this. Wipe the tool into a dry paper towel every time you run it through. I wanted to create a frosted look, so that's why I decided to go that route. And then we can ice the whole thing with pink royal icing, about 10 to 15 second consistency. Now, if you're not familiar what that means, you can check out my detailed tutorial here on YouTube or also on my blog that covers different consistencies, how to make them and how to use them. I'm going to use a piping tip. This is a ribbon piping tip number 44, and I'm covering up a portion of it, so my line is going to come out thinner, and we can use it to make a window frame. Super easy to do. I'm using stiff royal icing to do this, and then dip it in white sanding sugar. My side panels are going to have 2 windows, so I'm using same technique, spreading a thin layer of white royal icing onto the gingerbread gingerbread cookie, and then let it crust for about 15 minutes, and then use a scribe to scratch the icing, creating star shapes. Isn't that cool? And then we're going to, of course, ice this with the same white royal icing. I'm using a cutter to create the outline for the window, and then with pink royal icing outline and flood it. Now, when making a gingerbread house like this, when you are icing the base like I'm doing with flood royal icing, it's best to let it dry overnight before you add any details. Also, try not to move it too much while it's drying, because you're risking of creating hairline cracks in your royal icing. So just put it on a flat tray and forget about it. If you have a fan close by, that would be helpful. It does help to have a fan, either a ceiling fan or a stand fan close by. It circulates the air and it promotes faster drying. Again, at the frame. And now with the same piping tip, I'm adding a zigzag line across the front panel and also across the side panel. I'm just going back and forth with my piping bag, and this icing, like I said, it needs to be stiff. Now I'm gonna make the door. Again, I'm using a cutter to create the shape, and then with white royal icing, 15-second consistency, outline and flood the door. And with a scribe, you can shape it and distribute the icing. Alright, I'm going to also create a garland at the very top. I'm using a scribe to divide the top section. And now with the ribbon piping tip, pipe the garland. Allow the door to dry, and then you can add, remember those pom-poms we made earlier? You can add them around. Use a little bit of royal icing for the glue. And it's easier to handle these with tweezers, I have to say, because these are quite small, so use tweezers. These are sewing tweezers that I'm using today. And I'm also going to add some star sprinkles on the top. Again, use a little bit of royal icing for the glue, and then stick them on. And of course we need something in the window, so I'm using large silver pearls and more pom-poms in the window. Now the side panel is going to have also pom-poms in the window, so I'm going to do that. You just want to pipe a line of royal icing and then add these on with the tweezers. Now I'm going to also add the snowflake, so add a little bit of royal icing and glue that on. The side, not the side panel, this is the back panel. Back panel is also going to have two windows, so I'm just going to go quickly over it. And again, use the scribe to scratch the icing. You don't want to brush a thick layer of royal icing when you're doing this technique. It needs to be thin. And it's going to take, like I said, maybe 15 minutes for it to crust. So you can start scratching your design. Alright, again, you can also use a paper template. I find that the cutter works really well to create the guide for the window pane, and then outline and flood with pink royal icing. You know how much I love making gingerbread houses. This year I made 3 houses. I made poinsettia house, this pink house, and I also made Jingle Bells house. I love making them, they're so fun. Let it dry and then you can create the window frame. Again, I'm using the ribbon piping tip and dip it in white sanding sugar. You can remove excess with a boo-boo stick, or this is a 2-in-1 tool, the yellow tool that I used. Now on the back panel I decided to add a wreath, so I'm using the pom-poms again, gluing them onto the icing. It helps to have a variety of sizes of these dots, so when you are piping them, keep that in mind. And there, so you want to layer these, and then we can finish the design by adding silver pearls into the windows, and again one cute snowflake on there. My house also has a chimney, so we're going to ice the chimney panels with pink royal icing, and I'm gonna just decorate them with silver sprinkles, and then we have to let those dry. Once dry, we can glue it all together before adding it onto the roof. I find that's really helpful, and I'm also going to decorate the sides with royal icing to make it a bit nicer. So allow it to dry for a couple hours, and then you can add zigzag borders like I'm doing here, and also on the top. Alright, and now to finish up, we have to build a house. So we've got all the panels ready. I'm using a piece of parchment underneath, and I'm just going to glue the sides on the front, and also back panel needs to be glued on. And I always do the base first. I let it dry for a couple hours, and then I add the roof. So we didn't really decorate the roof. Remember, the roof is going to be decorated actually on the house. So I'm going to use some skewers to support the roof and prevent it from sliding down, and then we can add thick royal icing. This is the consistency that I used for the window frame, so you can see it's pretty thick. And then with a decorating comb, I'm creating a pattern, and I'm going to repeat this on the other side. This is super easy to do. Alright, clean up the edges and smooth the top. Now at the very top, I'm using a star tip number 16, piping a zigzag line. And now we can glue on the chimney. If needed, you can support it with a long skewer to prevent it from sliding. I'm also going to add beaded shell border on the front and also on the back of the house. And you want to use this is a number 16, but number 18 started would also work. And then you can add some cute little wafer snowflakes on the roof. And there. And that's how you can make this beautiful dreamy pink gingerbread house for holidays. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Be sure to let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and don't forget to hit the bell button so you get notified about my new uploads. Thanks so much for watching and I will see you next time.